How much of big wave surfing is physical and how much is mental?
I'd say half-half. The physical aspect is you got to be strong to be on the rope, to handle the high speed that we go down those waves, to handle the beat downs. And then the mental is you got to be willing to take a risk. You got to control your fear. And to me, it would be also the anxiety before, because otherwise what can happen is you use so much energy on your nerves the days prior that by the time the swell arrives, you're exhausted.
And you've said before you're always scared on when surfing a big wave. Still the case today?
Yeah, I'm more scared these days than
Really?
I think I used to be. I mean, not when I was like fully traumatized, of course not, but more scared than before my near drowning experience, I'd say yes. It just became real, and that makes me question sometimes. I can switch off instead of getting to a point where I'm afraid and I freak out and I accelerate. I tend to do the opposite. I tend to go slower and slower and slower. And that is really good for oxygen saving and decision making and a bunch of different things that eventually hopefully save my life.
How would you describe her personality to somebody that's never met her before?
I think she's very clear-minded, and I think anyone that leaves their home country at a young age and pursues their dreams the way she did, and also in overcoming all the obstacles that she had, you have to be really focused.
Explain how the adrenaline will start almost upon seeing the weather report.
Yeah. You start putting together the whole team and having to think about safety and dangers and all of that. So you start realizing, it's going to be serious. And then just the excitement and the energy and the talks, you start feeling like the town is getting very alive and very anxious about something.
Laird Hamilton told me in our taping that big wave surfers almost get PTSD when coming down from the high of surfing a big wave, and that he gets depressed, sometimes, and that's a thing among big wave surfers.
Of course, imagine you peak in adrenaline, you give your all, you live to the fullest that day, you're exhausted. The next day you wake up and you're what, in your living room? I mean, it's a contrast of a very intense emotion and then life being very quiet again. And I think that is a challenge for most of us. You get a bit like, what now? You get a little down.
I mean, depressed?
Not depressed. I don't personally. I have, my side on anxiety. So I don't have the depression in me, thankfully. So I deal with this other aspect in the mental health scheme. And yeah, so I don't get depressed, but I do feel a hole. I do feel something got emptied out.
Surfing, there's kind of this partying culture that surrounds a lot of it. How does her commitment to the sport compare to, you think, a lot of other surfers?
Well, I think the partying kind of very loose lifestyle that's kind of the 60s until the 90s or early maybe 2000s. I think now both on the tour and in big wave surfing, most of the top surfers are athletes, like as much as basketball players or anyone else. I think we got to a level where there are enough athlete surfers to where you can only keep up if you're also an athlete.
Yeah.
It's not just talent or not just luck anymore.